Welcome back, everybody, to Work in Progress. This is the Shadespire episode and Sepulchral Guard. So we've got the Grave Warden here. This is one single piece. You see how nicely sculpted it is. You can see the staff running through behind there and the shield. And then what we're going to do is just see how this fits in there, just like that. And you can see that actually the back piece has some ribs there, and then that rib goes in here. So that's pretty cool. Makes it very scenic, and this foot goes up on this rock there. And then the base. So what I'll do, we're going to put that together with some glue, and we'll be right back. Boom. Just one front piece onto one back piece, and then the little rods into the base, and this guy's done. Took literally 20 seconds, including cutting time. Alright, let's do the next one. The next one is one of the petitioners. 8, 9, 10. I'm really liking this Xandri dust colored sprue. Don't think I've ever seen a Xandri dust colored sprue before, so it's pretty cool. This piece is a little bit tricky to get out. Let's shave it down after. So 8 and 9. And the base is 10, which is this base here. Again, with accurate cutting, you should not need to do any shaving. And this plastic, I don't know that they changed their plastic to make the push fit, but it's extremely easy to shave lines off. Just very gentle. You can be very gentle, and it still just takes it right off. It feels firmer because you got to press fit it, but actually it's fairly soft, which is an interesting juxtaposition of textures. You don't need to put any pressure on that at all, and it just shaves right off. Alright, let's put this one together. This one goes like this. Fairly straightforward. Just line the hole up and press it together. And there we go. Boom. And this one actually comes with a line instead of the points. So far, this is the first model I've put together in Shadespire that has the points. So this just slots in there. And that guy is done. Petitioner number 1. Alright, we're going to put the rest of these guys together and come back at the end, because probably don't want to watch me doing this for half an hour. It's a little bit boring to watch. Alright, these guys were fairly easy to assemble. I think it's taken me 10 minutes to assemble all of them. Very easy. My personal favorite is this dude. The dude is crawling out of the ground with this sword. That's awesome. He comes in 2 parts, and his hand is actually part of the base there, if you see it. And this piece is separate, but because it's part of the base, I've attached it with, I've glued it on. And so that I'll just paint that with the base. But this dude is awesome. In fact, I might just paint this whole thing together because it's kind of hard to hold otherwise. So there we go. There's my 7 Sepulchral Guard ready to go. And we're going to start painting them. We're going to spray them with Xandri dust, and that'll get us a good way there, given that most of it is bone. Alright, work begins on the Warden of the Sepulchral Guard here. Just chose, this already been sprayed with Xandru dust, washed with Agrax on the bony parts. Then I just filled in the silver parts here, the gray of the fur of the cloak, and I decided to make the cloak a royal purple, like these are the Royal Sepulchral Guard. So some Xerius purple base layer, and then some Druchii violet wash on there. That's going to look pretty nice. And then sort of a black shield with the gold insignia on it. So he's washed and ready to highlight once that's finished drying. And then we can move on to the next dude. Alright, the Warden is done, other than the base. I'll do all the bases together at the end. So, looks pretty good. I love the purple cloak. So that's Xerius purple down. Then a wash of Druchii violet. Then Gene Stealer purple layer on top, almost cover it all, and then the Shala lilac edge paint to catch out all the detail. It's pretty nice. I like it. Got a bit of verdigris down with the lilac oxide on the bronze on the shield, and a bit of Ryza rust lightly dry brushed onto the armor there. You can see kind of rusty, and the blade is kind of rusty because they're skeletons. A little bit of dry brush administratum gray just to pick out the fur. And of course the bone is finished with Ushabti bone. Just leaving the deepest brown in the recesses there. Not too bad. Okay, so the Warden's finished. Onwards, next is the Champion. Alright, work goes on the Champion here. Pretty simple model, just a bit of red cloak and some straps and some metal and bone. So I'm already at the shading stage. I decided to make his cloak red. Shaded in with Carabar Crimson, brown straps, silver details, all with non-oil on right now, just drying off. Got to clean up the face a little bit there. Got a little bit of red on his jaw there, but I'll wait for the shading to dry. His shield is wood, and that non-oil just goes right into these tiny little wood creases in the wood and just makes that pop right out. It just looks so awesome. It really did look flat, and now a bit of non-oil to that surface just pops out all those wood planks. Just awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. Yeah, so pretty straightforward model. Just wait for that, and then we'll highlight it up, and then we can move on to the next guy, which will probably be the Harvester. Alright, Champion is done. Fairly easy. Put some nice highlights on the cloak there with some Evil Sun Scarlet, and then some Fire Dragon Bright right on the edges. I love that orange highlight right on the edges, very edges of red. I think it looks really, pops it out really nicely. So just did that there, just on the highest ridges of the cloak there. Put a little bit of rust just on the edge of the sword and on the helmet. Not too much rust. Don't want everything to look too rusty. Took my time to pick out the bones here with Ushabti. Looks pretty good. There we go. Alright, so the Champion's done. Well, other than the base, but of course I do all the bases together. Onwards next, I think next we're going to work on the Harvester. Alright, some base coats going down on the Harvester. It's a pretty simple model. It's just a skeleton with a cloak and a scythe. A couple of sort of iron bangles around his wrist and ankle there, but like he's been chained before. But now he's released. So anyway, so just wanted to make him black, so he looks a bit like the Dark Grim Reaper. And that's it. That's literally all the details on this guy. So he's shaded right now, just waiting for the shade to dry. You can see the null oil there. That's just a Abaddon black and Rhinox hide for the wood and silver. So just waiting for that to dry, and we can finish this guy off pretty quickly. And then we'll be on to the Prince of Dust. Alright, the Harvester is done. The usual bone treatment, so you Ushabti on top, and then edge highlights of Screaming Skull, and that looks pretty good. And then some Gorthor brown on the staff handle, and the usual whatever it's called. Okay, no, that's bothering me. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, Stormhole Silver on the metal parts. Some Riser Rust on the blade edge. Riser Rust on the blade edge there. And then for the black cloak, a highlight of Dark Reaper. A bit of a thicker highlight. And then a very thin highlight of Fenrisian Gray. Right on the edges. I like that. That makes it kind of pop out the black and make it seem a little bit ghostly. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, so the Harvester's done. On next to the Prince of Dust. Alright, so this is the Prince of Dust is done. Pretty straightforward, just the same red cloak. So Mephiston red with Caribou Crimson Shade, and then some Wild Rider red and some Fire Dragon Bright, which I love. And some brown, trying a new lighter brown, a Bane Blade brown, and then my usual 3 layers for the bone, and some brass for the round shield. There you go, Prince of Dust is done. And that leaves me with just the 3 petitioners to do. Alright, petitioner number 1 is done. Old Half Head, because he's missing half his head. Half head. Yep, so for the petitioners I'm doing Incubi Darkness on the cloaks, on the cloth, with some Cybrite Green and Cabalite Green highlights. Otherwise, all the other colors are pretty much the same. Some Mechanicus Standard Gray and a light dry brush of Administratum Gray for the fur. And yeah, otherwise fairly standard formula by now. So there we go. Old Half Head is done. Move on to the next petitioner. Alright, petitioner number 2 done, and second last model to paint. This guy probably had the most bone out of all the models so far. Almost a complete skeleton to paint. So it took a while to pick out all the bones in 2 layers, but I think it looks pretty good. And otherwise standard colors, so all the petitioners have this Incubi Darkness, Cybrite Green, and Cabalite Green cloth. And then the sort of bronze and silver shield and the silver sword with the rest on it. So pretty standard color scheme for all the petitioners, and there's the other guys. So that's what those colors are. Incubi Darkness, Cabalite Green, and Cybrite Green. Okay, one more guy left to go. My favorite petitioner, Bob, getting out of the ground. Alright, I finished off my last petitioner. It didn't take very long at all. Just 1 piece of cloth, a sword, and bone. And then what I've done is I've based all the bases in gray, and they've just been washed with Null Oil. A few bits of bone to pick out on the base as well, like that. But otherwise fairly simple, straightforward texture bases. Nothing too fancy. So just going to wait for that to dry and finish off the bases, and these guys will be done. Alright, the Sepulchral Guard are done. Just finished off the bases with a dry brush of Administratum Gray, and then a light dry brush of Terminatus Stone. Just give it that 2 layers of highlights on the bases, and it looks pretty good. I gotta say, the bases on the Shadespire models look awesome. They really add to the model, and almost makes me want to spend more effort on my bases on my normal models, but we'll see. So yeah, so here we are. The Sepulchral Guard is done. Got the Warden, the Harvester. Turn around, Mr. Grim Reaper. Got the petitioner number 1 here, Bob, the Prince of Dust, the Champion, and petitioner number 2. Alright, super fun to paint, really great models, and now my Sepulchral Guard is ready for battle.